Welcome back to Vintage Steel Garage. What I'm going to look at tonight is a few jobs on the Dodge Dart. I've decided what I was doing, basically faffing about last time with the carbs for the bike. I'm going to leave that for a while and concentrate on the car. So I'm going to work on this list of jobs I've got here, which is quite a lot to do. The first things I'm going to focus on are the gearbox transmission pan seal. Basically someone over tightened it last time, distorted the cover, and that's caused a leak. So I'm going to take the pan off, show you how it's distorted, show you how I'm going to level it up by a little bit of tin work, and then get it ready to paint. And also I'm going to take that cross member off and paint that, and then I can get ready and get it started up. Now, one of the other jobs I'd mentioned was the prop shaft. We still have the problem with the prop shaft here, where the UJ supports have got elongated on the prop, so I need to still do some work. But I'm still unsure if the prop is too far out at this end and could still be shortened a little bit further. So I really want to get it back on the road, run it, and see what sort of movement I get on that prop. I'm probably expecting a ½ inch of movement, and it could just be a little bit less than that. So what I decided to do really, the prop's only on loose, take the prop off, that'll expose it. The floor is very good condition throughout, just very light surface rust, and it really is only surface rust. There's nothing there at all, it'll just wipe off. So I want to get some paint over it because the weather in the UK is not kind to cars, and this, you can see, has never been painted as being a Texas car all its life. So what I'm going to do, take the prop off, take the gearbox cross member off that I modified, and then also take the sump off there. And you can see where it's a little bit distorted around the top and it's leaked, so I'm going to take that off, see how distorted it is. I don't think it's too much. Give it a coat of paint, looks a bit tatty, tidy that up, make it look pretty. And then the other job I'm going to have a look at is the oil filter, which I think, if I can get the light down here, you can see with these headers, these aftermarket headers, makes it very, right, you can just about see there, that's where the oil filter goes on. It's very tight to this header here. There's hardly any room to get it in. Ordered an oil filter from America, came, however it's far too long, so I've managed to source one locally, which I'll talk about in a minute and show you. Then I think it's going to do the trick. So that's that. Right, so this is the difference with the oil filter. See, this is it, it's 3/4 hole with a gasket around it, and it was just basically far too long. So I bought this one. As you can see, much shorter, smaller. If we have a look at it this way, you'll see the difference. It's physically a smaller diameter, however the hole size in the middle here is the same. And you can see if we put these two gaskets together, you can see that looks okay. Now, what I do remember, last time I stripped this off, I actually replaced the filter, so that is a new filter on it. I know it's only red from the oil that's been in it and the residual oil in the pan there, but you can see these automatic transmissions are an absolute work of art. Whoever invented this is an absolute genius. All the controls and the valves in it, it's just absolutely amazing how it works. So what all I need to do is clean up this gasket surface here, which is, well, you can see it's coming off already, just rub my finger over it. It'll quite easily come off that. So it's fairly clean already, to be honest. Just give it a wipe over. And you can also see maybe a little bit better there now, just in the distance where the light is, the oil filter. Can you just see it? And you can see how tight that is to the exhaust. So it really did have to have that small filter on. So yeah, pan off. Obviously I need to put a tub under that because I forgot about this residual oil in it, and get this gasket cleaned up, and we'll have a look, see how distorted the pan is, maybe it wasn't too bad, and it just wasn't tied up enough. So let me get that on the bench and we'll have a look. Okay, so I've got the cross member back off. You can see that's as it was in the other episode where I welded it up. So I just need to fully degrease that, clean it on the inside, and then it's ready for paint. I suppose it would be an ideal job to use my parts washer, but I can't be bothered, so I'm just going to clean it with a wire brush, get some paint on it. Now the other thing is the pan is now off. There's a couple of issues I notice on here. The first one, if you look close up, you see it's got some dints in it there. 3 dints. Let's just try and put the light there. If you look at them, 1, 2, 3. There. Now they line up perfectly with the bolts on the filter. So I suspect what's happened is someone's jacked it up under the pan and pushed the pan into the filter. So I might do a little bit of tapping on this with the hammer and the dolly to try and get it flatter. And then the second issue, which I spoke about before, was the actual over tightening of the bolts. And if you have a look here, you will see the gap there. So that would stay like that. Yes, you can see where the gap is. So everywhere there is no gap, which is there and there, is where the bolts were. So you could see the issue here. No matter how tight you had this bolt and this bolt, it just leaked out here because it's been over tightened and distorted. So I'm going to do a bit of tipping and tapping and get that flatter. Now for the dolly work, you don't need anything extreme. All I've got is a bit of 2-inch angle here in the vise, nice flat surface there, one of my dolly hammers here. I've got a few of them here, so it's got a square head, round head, completely flat there. This one's the same, square and round but convex at either end, so I'm not going to use those. I think I'll use this one, which is flat on this end and the point in the middle there, to try and ease this damage out here. So I'll give a bit of a tap in, see what we can do. Right, so let's see if we can start getting these dints out. Alright, so they're getting a bit less pronounced, and we've got a bit of depth back in that pan. It looks like a little bit of a ridge here, which we need to maybe just try and push out a bit. I think it's a bit low there, which, as you can see, where the filter's been sat on the bottom, so I'll just try and relieve that a little bit. So again, just dollying it out. You're not going to get it out with one massive smack of the hammer, but repeated lots of blows, and as long as you're always in contact between there, you can tell the sound difference where that's not quite on. You see now, virtually got rid of that bump there now. So that's probably quite good. And the pan's looking alright. I'm happy how that's lying there. This also does have a magnet in the sump there. So when you come to do a filter change, any steel particles in the sump are going to pick up down there, and you can just take that off and clean. So I just need to remember to put that back in when I put the sump on, and I better don't. Anyway, so happy with that. I think now we just need to address this along here and try and tap this down, which we probably won't need too much tapping, to be honest. So in the end, after a bit of more faffing about, I suppose, I found the best way was to get it in the vise with a bit of angle, 2 G-clamps, and then with a hammer and a little punch, which is blunt on the end, just worked it along, lots of little taps, try and get that flat. So you can see now it's actually, you can't see light through that gap. Well, there's a little bit there, so maybe a little bit more work there. Just have a look there, a little bit more work there, and we're getting the right path. So I'll do a few more minutes and come back to you. Okay, so straightened all this pan out, cleaned it all up as best as I can. There's still a bit of residual paint that's well adhered and a bit of grease on it. Also inside the cross member there's a bit of grease as well. So what I've decided is, what's the point of having it and not using it? Tomorrow I'm going to fire the parts washer up and give them a clean in there and give you a rundown on the parts wash. Now, as most of you do, these videos are filmed over a number of days, and you'll remember I left it that these items here, the pan and the cross member, I was going to clean in the parts washer. So the following day I'm going to come in, set the part washer up and clean these. Well, hopefully a lot of you will relate to this, and it will also explain how easily I get sidetracked. You'll probably remember also in an earlier episode, in front of my Porsche in the garage is a little mini moto bike, which I said I may not work on. Anyway, walked through the garage, came in the garage the other day, best intentions, clean these pans, this pan and this cross member, set the parts washer up, show you how that works. Thought, that mini moto looks a bit near the Porsche, could fall on it, I'd better move it. Move the mini moto into the workshop area. Then I thought, what I really need to do to get my parts washer clear, because space is a bit of a premium here, I need to move these engines down here. This is a spare engine for my board track racer replica. There's another motorbike engine here, and there was the mini moto engine here, part of it here on the floor. So and you can probably see what's coming. I'm stood here in the workshop area, mini moto in bits in one on the floor, engine in the other hand. Engine seems to have a, well, I've taken it off this one because this is a spare engine, has an interesting electrical motor on it, which is a starter motor. So I'm stood there, engine, bike, electrical start, that looks interesting. Will it start? So there we go, I'm completely sidetracked, and instead of cleaning parts, I'm doing this. I'm assembling the mini moto. So I take the engine, which is this here, and this is the electric starter motor on it here. So I'm putting, I had a box of spares. Basically for £10 I got these two engines, well 3 engines, all the same, the mini moto, the GoPed, motorised GoPed, which is in the garage, and all these spares. So I couldn't really refuse it. So what I did, I got the engine here, got it on the test bench, ran it through, felt like I got some compression, turned it over by hand, had a spark, then found I had some wiring, which is solenoid for the starter motor, car battery off the Dodge Dart, which is what I'm meant to be working on, and I fired it up on the bench, so it was running. So then you start thinking, if the engine will run, will the mini moto go? So this is where I get to now. So you can see, a little bit easier now. I've got the engine on. What I'd found was this back wheel was on the wrong way round, with the gears on the wrong way round. Someone previously has cut, you can probably just about see, cut all the engine mounts off. I couldn't work out which way down the engine went. I couldn't remember which way it spun. At first I had it the other way around, so I had the cog at this side. The reason why I had the cog at this side is the rear cog was here, so I thought the chain came down. Got the chain's a set length, not a split link. Put the chain on, came here, the engine was sitting about here, so that obviously didn't work. Then I realised round the side here there was one of the engine mounts here was still on. But what someone had done is, someone had taken this here and flattened it out. So I heated it up and bent it up, and I've got my first engine mount point back on. That then has sort of set the length for the chain down to the back wheels. You can see it's sort of about right, but obviously I haven't got the other engine fixed, the other engine mount fixed. So I also then had a route round in the box of plentiful parts here, and I found these. Now I did have another mini moto as well, a black one, similar to this but a little bit smaller still, and I think these are off this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fabricate a bracket here, so these will pick up on the engine mount there, and the same on that side, and then I'm going to weld them so they'll be welded to this, sort of like these, so it look like little rabbit ears sticking up, I suppose, like that, bolted onto the engine. And then I can move this around to just get the engine square completely, so there's no twisting the chain. Weld those on. I've ran the engine, it's got a tiny little carburetor on it here. You can see that's the throttle position there. Cables are on here as well already, so it should be quite easy to connect it up. It's just got a little centrifugal clutch. It's quite a little neat setup here, so there's obviously some sort of little, I don't know if there's a reduction gearbox in here or there's just some sort of centrifugal clutch plates in there. But I revved it up, tick over, that doesn't drive, you rev it up and it starts going. I don't know how fast it'll go, probably won't move my fat ass, but it might move one of my kids. So I'll see if I get it together, see if I can get it running. I don't know what I'm going to do with it really, to be honest. I suspect, well, originally how these were made, they're only Japanese, Chinese, cheap you know, mini moto bikes. This here, when I've looked on the internet, this part here, which is sort of some vast empty space, has a plastic fake engine. I don't know why they made a plastic fake engine and then had this little tiny engine at the back running it. I suspect someone had taken this engine out, taken the engine mounts off, and probably the idea, when you look at it, that space there would fit in quite a decent, and I'm sorry to say I got rid of it not so long ago, 125 air-cooled engine. That would have been fantastic in there. Probably would have killed myself on it, so maybe with hindsight it's probably a good idea. So I suspect that's what the other previous owner was going to do. They were going to put a slightly larger engine in and see if they could get it to go a little bit quicker, which would be interesting, and it could be a future project. But I think for now I'll make the mounts, get it up and running. It's got a disc brake on the front as well, and again these are all bits that I found in the box of spares, and seem to work quite well. I got the cable, I'm just going to make some sort of little bracket here to connect this on, or again find it in the box of plentiful spares and get it up and running. So I think I'll just tinker around with it, get it running and see what happens from there. But what I need to do is get back to cleaning these. So I'm going to make a cup of tea. I made a cup of tea. So I'm going to have a brew, my special cup. Get the cleaning fluid together, move some things around the garage, move this out, move some parts there, move Chris's lathe which I borrowed long term there, get the parts washer set up and show you how that's working. As another small detraction, I bought this off eBay. It's basically an RPM meter. I think it was something like £6 delivered, I can't remember. It reassuringly feels cheap. Takes a 9-volt battery, which I haven't got a battery at the moment. Basically you need to put a little bit of this tape here. It's just some sort of reflective tape. Put a piece of that on the wheel you want to, or whatever you want to measure, point it at it with a laser and then read it. The reason I bought this, you see it there, makes me laugh that it says
DT2234C plus. Can you see that? Makes you think there was an A, B and C that failed, and then the C plus who went hooray, and it worked and they sold it. Like I say, it's reassuringly cheap. But the idea I bought it for, I thought there's many a time I just want to measure some RPM. The main reason is for the board racer. I've sort of calculated how many revolutions the rear wheel needs to take. I'd like it to achieve 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. So know how many RPM I need on the rear wheel, and then I want to work back through the gears, gearing it down to the engine, which I believe is about 3000 RPM, maximum RPM, and see where I can get the speed with that. And I've done a bit of guesswork and a few calculations, but I thought this will be interesting when I get the engine running again to find out. So I'll probably do this as a separate piece, where I won't do it as a test thing like some people do on YouTube. I'll just use it and show you how I'm using it. So that's for a future episode. So, got the parts washer here, got it plugged in, ready. This is its maiden voyage, if you like, maiden use. Not used it before. Assembled it. Fairly easy to assemble. Got it from Machine Mart. 45 litre container. It's got instructions there. Read operating instructions before use, so I won't bother with that. I've got this chemical here, which I've never used before. Well, actually I have used before. I used it on a friend's truck to de-clean it. He'd got it. It said it just mows down grease, dirt and grime. Well, I've got to say I've never used the word mows down grease to explain how quickly dirt is removed. That's an interesting one. I've mowed my grass and that's about it. Then again, looking down here, I think it says it comes from, is that New South Wales there? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so it's not particularly, it's a bit loose on the dilution really. It's saying for really heavy stuff 10 parts to water, for mild clean 20 parts to water, and just for a maintenance cleaning 80 parts. So I'm going to put, let's say, I don't know, half a litre in. Let's try that first of all, and I'm going to add hot water. And the reason I'm going to add hot water is, it could just be my belief, but I'm thinking it's going to degrease it better. Okay, so another 10 litres of water. Let's see if we can get that pumping round. To be honest, it's not sounding very healthy really, is it? Let's see where the water's meant to get in. So I assume it's meant to get in through this. Pump doesn't sound healthy at all, does it? Well, it's still not sounding great if I'm honest. Right, a couple of things to report back. I've got flow now, and it's quite good. I think the flow, the benefit of hindsight, oh by the way, the camera went off.
obviously even the camera lost interest in what I was doing, and I don't know what point it's gone off. So I took the pump apart, rebuilt the pump, found a piece of packaging polystyrene in the pump. You can see the imprint of the pump there. So you can see, I should have read the instructions as it said here, and I didn't. So I took that out, put 10 litres in, didn't pump, put 20 litres in, didn't pump, put 30 litres in, and it's now actually working. I mean, you can see the level of the liquid is only about there, so it's halfway up. Oops, where is it? Halfway up there. It's even up because the water's hot. It's halfway up, so I suppose the reality is I probably just needed more water in, and I did the usual thing and decided to take it apart and start fault finding it. So what I'm going to do now, put some chemical in, and let's see what that does. And I think I'll try giving them a soak and see what happens. So here we go, here's the parts. They're sort of in this, if I can show you again. You get a tray here which is removable, and then there's a lower part. You can actually see some of the dirt coming off it already. I might operate without this for now, and get this in here, get them agitated, and see what they come up like. I've got to say, actually, this is absolutely a great investment. Something I probably should have bought 30 years ago. On another video I'll show you what I've used for the past 30 years, which is basically just an old aluminium tub, half the size of this, no pump system on it to rinse it off. I mean, look at this, this is great. I think also I might see if I can find a more aggressive brush. Okay, I found a more aggressive brush, albeit with a friendly face. Hello. I have no idea where this has come from. I'd like to say it's one of the children's. I don't think I bought it. Anyway, let's see how she does cleaning the... Anyway, slight diversion. Right, this is better. Let me try and get a bit of a better angle of this without hopefully the camera falling in. There you go, slightly better angle. You can see you can really lean on this flat table here, although I believe now I've got it in upside down. I think that's the right way. Yeah, that makes more sense. So you've got a holding tank below with something soaking, and you've got this nice flat surface here where you can clean, scrub, well, I've got to say, actually, one of my friends bought me this. Mark helped him rebuild his Chevrolet C10 truck 1963. Lovely motor. I'll throw a picture up on here of what it started like and what it ended up like. It's not a restoration, it's a rolling project, patinaed, and he loves it.
and it grabs attention wherever he goes in it, which puts a smile on his face. Anyway, so for helping him build that, he very kindly bought one of these to degrease his engine, and I said, you know what, this is wonderful, I wish I'd bought one of these years ago. And without me knowing, he went out and bought me one and gave it me as a gift, which is a real nice thing to do. So thank you, Mark. Right, so clean it all off. Clean the inside of it. So the only concern with this is, as it's a water-based product, which it does recommend, it says do not use flammable solvents such as petrol, paraffin and thinners. I think that's more from the fact that you don't dissolve the pump and all the seals in the pump. The only thing I'm worried about being water-based is if I leave it in the garage, it could end up rusting overnight. So what I might try and do is dry it off rather than just leaving it overnight in the garage. That's that bit clean, which I'm pleased about. That over there. So this bit, which has been in a little holding tank, I hope the wife doesn't watch this, she'll realise I can clean pots. I'm pretty happy with how that's come up, so I'll turn the pump off. Now I think these parts are going to take a while to dry, especially tonight, so I think I'll leave it there for tonight. What I'm also going to do, because I know I'll forget otherwise, this is the magnet here. I don't want to put it in yet because it'll pick up all the dirt in the garage, so all I'm going to do, I'm going to stick it on the wall, but I'll leave that there, and hopefully before I put the pan on I'll remember, and if I don't, someone tell me. Right, so I think that's it for tonight. These will dry off, come back tomorrow, give them a coat of Hammerite paint, leave them for a day, and then hopefully by the weekend we can have them fitted. That's all for now, thank you.